is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's Sunday Night Spotlight. It is Sunday, May 26th. I'm Clark Taylor. I'm stoked to be back once again. It's been a fun weekend of wrestling so far. We had King and Queen of the Ring yesterday. We've got AEW tonight. Should be a blast. As always, 2 pay-per-view weekends. What more could you ask for? I guess PLE, I'm still not used to that. But I'm going to introduce a sweet crew to put the spotlight on wrestlers from this week. Let's start first with my good friend Savannah. How are you this morning, Savannah? Or I guess tonight. Savannah. Yeah. Oh, I think we're having some technical issues there, but so we're going to go to Megan. We'll go back to Savannah at some point here once we get that figured out. But what's up with you, Megan? How have you been?
Good morning, Clark. It's hot. It's very, very hot here in New York.
I hear ya. Definitely. It's starting to get that way in SoCal right now too. And I'm just dreading it this summer. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to have to start running all the fans again. It looks like Savannah might have that worked out. How are you doing, Savannah? You back? No. We'll get that worked on. Dryzzy, though, you're here as well out in Louisville, Kentucky. What's
Good
up?
morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe it. I am doing much better than I was last week.
Absolutely.
And it as well. It's hot here.
I can imagine Louisville gets a little toasty for sure in the summertime.
Warning.
Savannah, you good to go now? What's up? No. Oh, I think it keeps freezing every time I go to the camera cut there. Savannah, try exiting and then re-adding yourself, and then when you get back, we'll add you in. Sound good? Like go back and then come back in the studio. If you can hear that. And then let's get started though with our first topic of the morning, afternoon, evening, whatever part of the world you're in, wherever and whenever you're listening to this. But I'm going to put the spotlight this week personally on Lyra Valkyria. You may be wondering, why would you put the spotlight on the runner-up in the Queen of the Ring tournament? And here's why. Because she's had as good of a week in wrestling as almost anyone. Wins an electric semifinal match. Does she get the job done in the Queen of the Ring finals? No, but puts on one of the best matches of the afternoon yesterday. Absolutely outstanding. And the wings in the entrance. I thought she was going to fly down the ramp. The wings in the entrance were so sweet. I loved it. Lyra Valkyria has been impressive to me since she was in NXT. She's one of my absolute favorites to watch. And I was very skeptical of her at first. I thought, oh man, they're just doing Becky Lynch 2.0. No, they're not. She's totally different. And that's what I really like about her. The sell on that finishing spot with Nia Jax. Absolutely iconic. So good. Nia deserved to win, but sometimes you can lose and still win at the same time in wrestling. And I thought that's what Lyra did yesterday. I was just impressed by her performance all around, all week, how she's looked in the ring. Lyra Valkyria, I'm putting the spotlight on this week. What do y'all think?
I think it is the King of the Ring is supposed to build stars, and that's exactly what they did with this one. And they did a really good job building Lyra. There were no major video packages. There were no squash matches. It was literally she's coming out. She's going to have these banger matches because she hasn't had a bad one yet. And it was a great way to build a star.
Yeah, they really allowed her to be herself. It was an organic build too. And obviously we saw her build on NXT. And there are parallels. It's funny because they've talked about things that don't work on NXT or things that work on NXT don't necessarily work on the main roster. But the build was very similar to how she rose up the card early and established herself. And I think that's impressive. We are definitely in a new era in WWE in a lot of ways, or at least it's getting there when it comes to things like that, because we've seen in the past where, it's no guarantee when you get the call up that things are going to be the same or that people will know you. And very quickly, the crowd is definitely behind her. You could tell the crowd knew who she was during that match last night and was behind her against Nia Jax. Nia got legit heat. And I was impressed by that. Deservedly so. She's doing amazing work as well, right? Like Nia would be my runner-up for putting the spotlight on this week for sure. Honestly, if it wasn't for maybe the DQ finish in the semifinal match, Nia would have probably been my pick this week. That's like it was that close of a decision for me, But all around, I thought, I just thought it was impressive for somebody so quickly to make it to the finals of the Queen of the Ring tournament. after being called up from NXT and have it feel like the right choice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it made sense.
It almost feels like it did when Balor came up or when Kevin Owens came up. It's like, oh, this is a big deal person. Like they're just coming straight in and it's fight.
Yeah,
Like it's refreshing to get things like that.
absolutely. It is. It is. It's totally refreshing. I do believe it looks like Savannah might have this figured out. Let's welcome her in. Add to the stage. Savannah, what's up? You got it? Nope, not yet. No audio. Dang. No worries. I wonder what's going on there. Okay. We'll get that figured out later though. For now though, we got to keep rolling. Let's move on. Let's talk about Megan's spotlight of the week. We're going Megan next. Megan, who are we putting the spotlight on this week?
Okay, well, it comes from a heavy heart to have to give this man a spotlight this week on the subject that I'm going to speak of him on, because I am a huge fan of him dating back to his initial WWE run and to this day. And this week I am giving a spotlight not only to Cody Rhodes, but to his current title reign. Being a self-proclaimed Cody crybaby, I was very excited about his title reign, about him finishing the story, about him defeating Roman Reigns and bringing in a new era. Um, Unfortunately, I just feel like his last two title defenses just wasn't up to par for a champion as himself. Now, this is not to in any way discredit AJ Styles or Logan Paul, even though I am not one of Logan Paul's biggest fans, but it's to speak more on the booking decisions for Cody as a new champion. I felt as though his first title defense against AJ Styles was kind of rushed, particularly after a quite entertaining feud between AJ and LA Knight. So I just felt like that match had to happen because Cody needed somebody to defend his title against. But it had the build that I thought both AJ and Cody deserve, seeing as how there's rumors that AJ will soon be retiring. Um, as in for Logan, well, openly I am biased against Logan Paul. I've had history, not direct history, but I've had history covering Logan Paul under multiple publications that I have worked under in the last 8 years, and so I know a side of Logan Paul that most people do know if they known him prior to him coming to the WWE. So it's kind of hard for me to look past that when it comes down to him personality wise. As a wrestler, he is a very talented athlete. As a boxer, he is also very talented. But I just not have seen anything within his WWE career, which is 2 years old, that qualifies him to have not one but two undisputed title shots. One against Roman in Crown Jewels 2022, and just yesterday at King of the Ring. So I feel as though, or at least I'm hoping that, in my opinion, that Cody does his next challenger or next contender is somebody that I would feel is more up to his speed and will really drive a compelling storyline, which would either, in my opinion, would be either Bobby Lashley, Randy Orton, of course. I think he's like the top person that everybody would love to see Cody go up against, or even LA Knight. So Yes, unfortunately, Cody, if you do see this, I love you still. And I'm still rooting for you, champ. I'm still here, but I don't like it. I don't like the title defenses.
I I hear you, and it's funny because I had very similar sentiments before Cody won the title. Like once he finishes the story, the chase is over. So there's got to be something next. There's got to be a new mountain to climb.
Mm-hmm.
I think Randy Orton has got to be that mountain. We're gonna need to see a vindictive
Randy,
Viper version of Randy Orton.
They definitely got to save Randy
absolutely.
for one of the big four because
I
that's
agree.
a deep story.
I agree.
Like
But
that's the one you get the My Sacrifice music video package one too.
yes. And
Like,
then okay, it looks like we've got Savannah back this time. Savannah, what's going on? How are you? Good. Is it working? No.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
It's working.
So yeah, no, I think,
Oh,
but yeah, I'm doing good. It's just a whole bunch of technical difficulties.
it happens to the best of us, absolutely. But we're glad you could join 100%. If you want to go ahead and go for it and give your spotlight right now, let's hear it. Let's hear who you putting the spotlight on.
So, as a veteran, as a military veteran, this is very personal for me. Um, so I'm highlighting three people that were also military veterans that are having a very strong showing in Ring of Honor. And I'm talking about the infantry. Captain Sean Dean, um, Trisha Dora, Carly Bravo, military veterans. It just so happened me and Sean Dean served on the same ship together. I'm not
Oh,
sure
that's
if
so
it
cool.
was we were together because on an aircraft carrier it's about four to 6,000 people on a ship. But we both served on USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, which is an aircraft carrier out of Norfolk, Virginia. We were on the same ship. Carly Bravo was in the United States Marines. Trisha Dora was in the Army. Um, I don't think they realize what they're doing and how they're helping the veteran community. Um, because it just shows to anybody in the military or, just now getting out of the military that there is life and hope outside of the military. Because, as a veteran, you struggle with that adjustment to the real world. Um, and then, like, personally, I've worked with Trish on the indies. Um, I just so happened to have a conversation with her, hey, as a female veteran, how were you able to, navigate this life outside the military and be successful? And she just told me, she was like, just go out and do it. And, I've taken her advice, and I've been successful in my own journey. Now going back to their showing our Ring of Honor, adding Trisha Dora, because it's always been Sean Dean and Carly, adding Trisha Dora to that mix has really skyrocketed them as far as, getting more TV time, more title opportunities, and, it's just the beginning for these three. So, my spotlight is definitely it's to the infantry.
I love that, Savannah. That's so cool. And I cannot thank you and say it enough. Thank you for your service, of course. So cool. And Captain Chandina on the same ship. That's amazing. By the way, I didn't know that. It's so cool. When you were saying that, I was like tickled by that.
Yeah, I
That's
didn't know
awesome.
that either. I didn't know that either because I guess everybody was going back and forth about their match last night. They're trying to say, I saw a comment saying it was over Max Caster's rap, calling them stolen valor. And I guess somebody had made a comment like, well, they're not in the military, so it's a gimmick. That's where you're wrong.
That's where you're wrong.
And somebody and somebody had, I guess it was from Wikipedia or something, that they put Sean Dean's service and where he served, and I was like, oh, Dwight D. Eisenhower. Oh, I was on that ship.
Hold
So
up. Wait a minute.
It's
that's
like,
crazy to
wait.
find out.
It's like, hold on, wait a minute.
Like, I know that one. Like,
Sean.
Yeah.
hold on. That is awesome. That's awesome. And a great pick, Savannah, for sure. Let's go to the next one though. Dryzzy, and then we'll have time to do our favorite moments of the week and everything, kind of hang out for a bit. I love this. We're breezing through the spotlights here at Driz. We got plenty of time to just mess around. They left the kids the keys to the castle today. It's great.
The one thing Ben never wants to do. Give me free time.
Exactly. Dryzzy, what's your moment of the week? Or
All
not moment
right.
of the week, what's your spotlight? I'm sorry, my friend.
My spotlight of the week is going to be Savannah's favorite. We are currently in a renaissance era of wrestling, and we are being led through this renaissance by one man. In the indies, he is the all father. He is wrestling's greatest gift, Darius Carter, currently on a run that is unheard of. They're calling him the champion of the culture. Now, I say all these are jokes, but he does get called all those things. He truly is one of the most captivating wrestlers I've seen. He is such a methodical, cerebral wrestler. There's no wasted movements. Everything he does has purpose, and he tells incredible stories in the ring. Currently locked in a feud with Billy Dixon, which has been one of my favorite feuds of this year. Every year the indie storylines are what drive me to continue with wrestling even more than WWE and AEW. Like, I love them, but the indies is where the really good storylines are at. And right now, the whole feud between Billy Dixon, Darius Carter, and Darius Lockhart has been the one that has just fueled me this year. I'm gonna recommend it for spoiler alert. I am gonna recommend it for feud of the year. It has I I just enjoy wrestlers who take their time to deal out every little piece of the character. They deal out every piece of the story, and Darius Carter does just those things. I've seen so many, and whenever he talks, you have to listen. It pulls you in, and he does some of the most despicable things. Yet he does not care because at the end of the day, the results are a win for him.
I like it. I like it. It's a good call for sure. Darius Carter, it's a
Don't
name
make that face. Don't make that face.
yeah, wait
Don't
a
make
minute.
that face.
Do we have an anti Darius Carter here, Savannah? Do we have an anti Darius Carter take? No.
I mean, I want this feud between him and Billy to die. But the only reason why it's still going on is because Darius won't let it go. And I still feel some type of way about how he choked out Faye Jackson a couple of years ago and almost broke her arm.
Darius Carter does a lot of despicable things, but it's almost do the means justify? I mean, maybe not. Maybe he goes a little bit too far. Maybe he just goes a tad bit over far. But he's the champion of the culture now.
That's very true. I mean, yeah, do the means justify the end is a great question there, Driz. I don't know.
It's very Magneto-esque. It's very Magneto-esque.
Absolutely. And I mean, great heel work's great heel work at the end of the day, right? Like,
Yeah,
you gotta have a bad guy.
all jokes aside, his heel work is top tier.
Yeah, you gotta have a villain.
He is probably one of the best villains in wrestling, and I will down that mountain. I know that so many people will want to say, no, it's Triple H, it's Randy Orton. It's just because they're on TV all the time. If you really watch the things that Darius Carter does, there's no way that you can truly like him. Like, you, even listening to me talk about it, I have to sell myself the dream because he does some stuff that just like, bruh.
He's mean, like legit, like it's like mean.
Oh no, he's sinister.
Yeah,
he is. When you look up the word evil in the dictionary, you don't see the definition. You see a picture of his face going,
smiling,
like that scowl will just get you every time.
Oh, It is
I
absolutely.
remember.
Go ahead, Savannah. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I remember he had a match with Masha Slamovich, and I just remember they took it out in the crowd. They're beating each other. Somehow Darius grabs a baby shoe and just started beating Masha with it. And
Did you take it off of a child?
I don't know where this baby
off of
shoe
a
came. Like all of a sudden, he has Masha on the ground, has this little baby shoe, and just starts beating her with it. And and I do have to give him his props. He does deserve to be on television. I know there were some call outs with NWA. I was hoping to see him on NWA. But it's just a matter of time before somebody wakes up and be like, oh, we need Darius on TV.
It's a matter of time. So
somebody's just holding their baby in the front row. He slides by and just slides off the shoe. That's all I can picture. Like, I'll take that.
he is another one of those. Like last week, we said if you're looking for a face to build a company around, it would be Willow Nightingale. If you're looking for your heel, that is your heel. He screams NWA. He screams build a company around me because you will flourish.
He does. He has so much going for him. It would be super interesting to see him in a place where you get like a lot of TV time, how he would navigate television. That would be fascinating. I mean, honestly, if not just for like the experiment of like how far could he push it on TV? You know what I mean? Like, because you just never know. It's a fun pick though. I really like it, Drizz. But let's get into our favorite moments of the week. Don't you guys think? Let's do it. Megan, I'm going to start with you because you have a great one. This is a fun one. What was your favorite moment of the week?
Well, my favorite moment of the week was the wedding of Ruby Soho and Cool Hands Ange. Well, as people know, I'm kind of late into the game of AEW, but I do remember Ruby from her time in WWE. And so when I first saw the storyline between her and Angelo budding, I thought, okay, they're cute, like they look cute together. And I really enjoyed that, also involving Saraya, her brother, and Harley. And so just seeing Ruby announce her pregnancy and then them two getting married, I just thought, like there is a happily ever after in wrestling. Yeah. And it just kind of, keeps the hope there that you will meet your other half, sometimes in the workplace. But I just thought it was really cute. You saw a lot of people from AEW, saw a few people from WWE there, one being Liv Morgan. And it was also good seeing her and Sarah and Ruby together again, even for that small moment. But it was very lighthearted, and it was definitely my feel-good moment for the week.
I love it, Megan. I think it's a great choice too, and not to get like all mushy, but they are a couple you can't just help but smile at, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
There's something very endearing about Ruby and Angelo, and then like the whole story, her backstory, and everything. Like it and it was well executed. It wasn't like a gimmicky wrestling wedding, right? Like you kind of just got like the reason to smile, right? Like when you catch yourself at somebody else's wedding and you're like, oh man, this is really cool. You're like, why am I getting emotional?
Right.
This is weird. Like
oh my God,
there's a little bit like that feeling, you're like, wait a minute, like I just expected this to be a normal wedding and now I'm all like
it's
but
one
it
of those.
was.
It gets you.
it just catches you. You're like, oh
Woo!
yeah, that'll get you. And so cool, like you said, to see Liv and her, and we know their friendship is well documented, obviously, from like a number of different things. And so that's very cool to see the support and that they're still really close. And I love that. I think I've heard multiple wrestlers talk about how like the AEW WWE rivalry is more of a fans thing. Like the wrestlers still get along.
Yeah.
The majority do crossover wise, like with each
Oh,
other, right? If you have a friend in a different
Tony.
company, you're friends with
and
them
Tony.
until it gets political, right?
It's just like when you go to different school than your friend. You're like, oh, they just go to that
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
Like everybody else is like, oh my god, you just hate them.
Sometimes if your friend
Now wait
goes
a
to the
minute.
different
Now
school, you
wait.
can act like they're cooler than they really are.
But you can have the rivalries between schools, but then the principal, okay, they wanna get in on the rivalry as well and post some little shady tweets on Twitter
I
and
see where you're
stuff.
going with this.
So he has a hand in it too.
Definitely. I mean, to me, it's fun. I just remember growing up with WCW and WWE, and it was so
Right.
petty every week.
Yeah.
That, like, don't get me wrong, like Tony Khan tweets some stuff where I'm just like, come on, man. A lot, oftentimes, not. I don't mean like sometimes. I mean like pretty darn often. But in some ways, I'm
Yeah.
like, it is pro
But-
wrestling. This is like the one world where like you can kind of do stuff like that. Like,
But
it's like
it's exactly like how you said, yes, you used to have Eric Bischoff and Vince at each other's necks, every
Yeah.
week, and it was on live TV. So, of course I enjoy the messiness. I always said the most messiest person you're going to find is a man. As much as they think it's a woman, it's a man. And so I indulge in it. I like Tony. I do. I like Tony. I like Tony a lot, and I think he's absolutely hysterical. I think he's funny. And so when I do see the shady tweets, it kind of makes me laugh because it's like, yeah, that's something I would say. If I was in his position, I would probably say that too.
Yeah,
So.
it's like sometimes you just wanted to be like, okay, no, but like one less and it would have been fine. Like, right? Like sometimes it's like he'll say a couple things that where you're like, oh, that was clever, that was funny, and then you're like, oh, that last one, nope, don't do that. Like, no,
like,
stop, pump the brakes, Tony.
You never look at it like, oh yeah, he got a bottle of Henny over there. He's going in.
Yeah,
he's
like,
going in.
He's having either too fun of a night or not fun enough of a night when it comes to the tweet strings that we're seeing right now. It's one of those two pretty much. Okay, I'm gonna go to you next though, Savannah. What was your favorite moment of this week in pro wrestling?
My favorite moment this week was Nia Jax winning Queen of the Ring. It's been a long time coming for her leaving the company for a period of time and coming back and picking up as if she never left. And this new journey that she's been on since her return has been beautiful to see. And I'm just overall happy for her. So my spotlight is with Nia Jax.
I love that. And I totally agree. I almost think she came back as who we always thought she could be somehow. Right. And the way that she did leave and the amount of time she was gone didn't lend you to think that that was possible. So to over deliver upon that return to me is so impressive and is so deserved that she won the Queen of the Ring. Like I think that's an excellent choice. And it is so funny because she's taken so much heat throughout her career for so many different things that I don't know how fair it is to Nia realistically. Right. I mean, even watching her on Total Divas, she took heat during the season she was on that show. I watched that during the pandemic. Like she was as nice as anyone on that show. For a reality show, she was fine. She was delightful. Like what? It made no sense to me. It's cool to see her finally like truly getting her flowers in a spot like this, winning the Queen of the Ring, deservedly so. It is funny though, Savannah, while we're on the topic, I brought up a few weeks back, Queen of the Ring, Queen Nia could be a vehicle to get her in the bloodline. Do you like that idea or no? Nia Jax in the bloodline.
Trying to figure out why she's not. It hasn't been in the blood. They haven't incorporated any of the like either her or Tamina into the bloodline yet. But I think Paul Heyman said a while back when all this started, it's a never-ending story with many chapters. Everybody has like their own individual story, and is going to come together, and it's going to make sense. You know, we could possibly see Naomi's hand in this somehow. You know, you see the Tama Tonga, maybe the Tonga twins could possibly pop up. You never know.
Be unbelievable, wouldn't it?
Yo, the WWE's not ready for that.
Oh, if
they
they
are
end up
not
with,
ready for that.
I was looking at like a fantasy booking thing the other day that was like saying they could pretty much do Samoa versus Tonga in in like a War Games match. I'm like, that would be absurd. That would be outlandish. Do the bloodlines split between Samoa and Tonga? That would be wild.
I'm kind of hoping for that. I really am.
I would not have an issue with that. Someone would have to enter to the Haka though. I love the Haka pre any sporting event.
Think
It's one of
about
the coolest things.
Think about that. You get Solo in the Tama Tonga, God. I don't know what they're calling them now in WWE.
Yeah, the
And
girls that does
Jacob, and then let the Usos return, and they do the OG entrance. Like that's a bone chilling
Zilla?
moment right there.
There's
Bring
Hikalaya.
him,
There's so
bring
many
him
options.
on in. Go ahead, and bring in Rikishi. Go ahead and call Alpha and bring everybody.
Well,
Send
look,
them all.
I just want to say this now. If by some chance WWE do see this and somehow make that into a storyline, just make sure y'all give Wrestling Republic credit for this idea, because we're putting it out there. So we just ask, you know, I mean, a little monetary.
It is
little
into
cutoff,
the
that would be
universe.
dope.
It is into the
I'd
universe.
take a shout out tweet.
A
We
little
are
bit,
giving it. We're giving it to the universe. And the ancestors
just a
will make
little
it
bit.
do what it do.
Just a small check, Megan. Just a small one. Easy, right?
Just a small one, you know.
We'll DM you the address. We got it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, that's
100%. Just a small
oh
check.
yeah.
Easy.
You know, they
No
they got
worries.
it to spare. They got it to spare.
It's chump change. What we're asking for is chump change. Just slide a check. Just slide a check.
I'll take cash,
Yeah.
honestly, if that's an option. I'm kidding.
Just make sure there's enough zeros, like one number.
Yes.
Just make sure there's enough zeros behind it.
Yeah, 4,
That's
5,
all
6,
we're
maybe
asking.
6 zeros would be good.
Yeah, 1 0 for
Yes.
every person we have
That
on
works.
staff.
There we go. Okay, Dryzzy, I gotta ask
There
you
you
now your favorite moment of the week, and then we will end the show with our favorite wrestlers really quickly. A little bonus segment.
All right, my moment of the week. Earlier this week, we had a singles return to wrestling of Vic Crow, formerly known as Alicia Fox. It has been she did return to wrestling after being released by WWE and a stint in rehab. She was I don't know if I want to put that out there, just what she was on, but she was in a bad way, in a bad spot. She's been able to clean herself up. She's been able to just reacclimate herself into the wrestling world, and she just looks so much more happier. She was a major part of the Divas era as the first African American Diva champion, and she had a very good reign, a very underrated wrestler, a very underrated character in WWE. I really wish that she got more flowers than what she normally does, but she has. I enjoy seeing. The only thing I enjoy more than good wrestling is seeing good stories like this. I've been praying for her for a while because it did seem pretty dark for a while the way she was released from WWE. But I'm just happy to see her back in wrestling.
It's an outstanding call, Dryzzy. Alicia Fox, Vic Crow, whatever you'd like to call her at this point, has charisma, like off the charts charisma, and showed that her entire time in her WWE career. Obviously, the struggles to overcome, wish the best. Like you said, so cool to see someone overcome something like that when you know they're dealing with something so difficult. Very inspiring and awesome to see her back to wrestling needs. Alicia Fox, she's an immense talent that honestly I feel like during her time, yes, she did a lot of great work in WWE, but during her time there, never even truly got the credit she deserved for how entertaining she could be. I mean, like the facial expressions and like the way she could be so animated just in her movement, I've always thought was brilliant. She's very underrated when it comes to wrestlers from that era, I think, and it's awesome to see her back in the game. One of those people that like once a year you kind of look around and you ask like, where did Alicia Fox? Where's she been? Like what, you know? And so to have her back wrestling again, like you said, it's outstanding. I also almost totally forgot to do my own moment and was going to move on to the next segment, but I'm going to do that one really quick. My moment of the week, my favorite moment of the week is Sami Zayn's entrance yesterday at King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring, King and Queen of the Ring. That is a tongue twister. They got to figure that one out for next time. But his entrance, the video package was outstanding in Saudi Arabia. What it meant to that crowd, the electricity, the noise, all of it, and then to put on that type of a match with that type of reception, I love that. There's nothing more exciting to me than a scorching hot crowd, and Sami deserved that last night. All those cheers is very cool what he's done. The last 4 years of Sami Zayn, just nothing short of sublime. It's dating back to the WrestleMania 36. We forget he was, Intercontinental Champion, and at that time, we're talking about the Artist Collective, and the evolution to then Conspiracy Against Me, to Honorary Oos teaming with KO. The whole, he really hasn't missed. Not to mention Johnny Knoxville, all of that, and then to have it this moment as the Intercontinental Champion in Saudi Arabia with a hot crowd last night. I thought it was delightful, and I think Sami deserves it and more. He's been, to me, one of the MVPs as far as WWE is concerned. The last since 2020, just hardly ever misses. Always entertaining. I still want, like Megan has said earlier on the show, if WWE, if you are listening, release the documentary. Release the documentary. I want to know what happened. What was the conspiracy?
I also think I think it goes further than 2020 actually, because the whole Shane McMahon Shane versus Kevin and Sami is what started all of it, and it's been one of the most. Just watching that evolution of a character go has been amazing.
I mean,
like, I don't know if that's his doing, but my hat's off to whoever thought of this, because
I think really when it comes to Sami, it does kind of, to me, feel like he deserves a lot of the credit. Not that the creative has been bad, but he's done so many different things. The versatility he's shown, right? Leading the Artist Collective with, Claudio or Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura, and being like the mouthpiece for that, and wearing, the painter hat and the green pants to, right, beard, long hair, all of that. And he does the Johnny Knoxville thing. He's getting mousetrapped at WrestleMania. Then fast forward a year later, he's main eventing with Kevin Owens, his best friend. The amount of just different things he's done, it shows you his versatility as a performer. And I think it just like bleeds through. Is to your point, like, creative deserves credit too. There's been very good creative, right? But who had on their bingo card that Sami Zayn might get the loudest cheer of the year when he faces Roman Reigns in Montreal? No, nobody nobody thought the loudest cheer potentially of the entire year, maybe outside of the Zelina Vega in Puerto Rico, was pretty loud. That was up there last year. That might be close. But Sami as the other end, as the opponent for Roman, nobody saw that coming. I mean, there was an argument that Sami was the guy and not Cody at certain points because it was so entertaining. I'm not saying that I believed that, but there was discussion about, like, should it have been Sami instead of Cody? That's crazy to think about. I mean, and I forget about like the Intercontinental title triple threat where he put the handcuff through Jeff Hardy's plug hole in his ear. That was wild. Handcuffed him to the ladder by his ear. Ooh, that one freaked me out every time, but I thought it was genius. Sami, moment of the week, and spotlight on him for sure. But let's really quickly, before we end the show here, bonus segment. We're going to put the spotlight on each of our favorite wrestlers of all time. And why wouldn't we? So Savannah, I'm gonna go to you first if you're ready. You ready? And then I'm going Megan, then I'm going Dryzzy, and then I'll say mine. Savannah, who you got?
John Moxley. I know, when you say all time, like we're expected to go like way back to like the old days, like Ric Flair, Andre the Giant. But John Moxley, there was a time where I didn't watch wrestling, and John Moxley, well, Dean Ambrose at the time, and the Shield, they actually brought me back. And the whole reason why, I relate to John Moxley, we're both from Cincinnati. You rarely see people make it out of Cincinnati. So to see, and going back to, to his CZW days, he's just awesome. He's so awesome. So awesome to see live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my favorite wrestler of all time, John Moxley.
I love that pick. Moxley's fun as could be, hometown guy to Cincinnati. Shout out Cincinnati for sure. Yeah,
Savannah has
totally
a 440 shirt in her closet. I did not know that.
I love it. John Moxley is a great pick. Okay, Megan, I'm going to you. Claimed Cody Crybaby. Are you going Cody, or do you have a different favorite wrestler of all time?
Well, favorite wrestler of all time.
Ever.
I'm sorry, Cody. I'm sorry. But it will have to go to your boss, Triple H. There's a lot of childhood memories wrestling base that I can like really attach Triple H to. I mean, well, like he was, in my opinion, one of the best heels of that time. Like there was nothing that he could do that you just either made you hate him, and he also had like a very funny side to it. Like a couple of days ago, me and my mom was watching his feud with Scott Steiner, and we was just watching the whole arm wrestling segment, and then when they did the body, the weightlifting segment, and just seeing them two just have that little interaction together, you could see that he had a very funny side to him. And of course I have to mention that time that I think, well, I'm 37, so I would say those that is of that same age group that was watching wrestling at that time, I think we all remember the time that we thought Triple H died by the hands of Stone Cold, when he dropped him in the car, and I've definitely cried. I was traumatized. I thought Triple H was gone. And just a lot of the times, if I think about wrestling that I've watched during the Attitude Era on down, most of my favorite moments does feature him. So I think it's only politically correct to say that he is definitely my favorite wrestler of all time. So if you see any biasm between, with me when it comes down to WWE and AEW, that's probably the reason why. He honestly, can't do nothing wrong in my book. I'm sorry.
It's a great pick, though. Triple H his career is off the charts. I love that you brought up that Stone Cold thing, because I think one of the most creative finishes in the history of matches. 2001, No Way Out, 3 stages. So it was normal match, street fight, cage match. Triple H and Stone Cold, the big payoff. They lower the cage for the third one. The weapons are still in the ring. They run at each other. Triple H with the sledgehammer, Stone Cold with, I believe it was a barbed wire 2x4 or bat, if I remember correctly. They connect at the same time, and Triple H just falls on him, but they're both out cold. And so Triple H wins the match, but like nobody really won. They knocked each other out with the last. It's one of the most creative finishes in the history of wrestling, and Triple H had his fingerprints all over that match. It was absolutely
Right.
brilliant, and that's like basically a year later from the Cactus Jack street fight, which I think is the best street fight I've almost ever seen at the Rumble, in the Garden.
Yeah,
That is,
definitely.
and the amount of stitches he got on his leg. Triple H has just so many hits when it comes to great matches and feuds and storylines. Drizz, though, I've got to get your pick. Favorite wrestler all time.
I am a fan of the weird, kooky, cult-like wrestlers. The things that aren't normal in wrestling. It's the theater kid in me. My favorite is Raven. You have a character who is all about mind control, who's all about just doing the absolute least. You have everyone doing your bidding. You win the match in their head, before you even set foot in the ring. Even with the way it's like every little thing made sense to him and what he did. He had a feud for an entire year, and Tommy Dreamer was never able to beat him. And it's something that they just came up with on the fly, with something so base. He was the geeky theater kid. Tommy Dreamer's the big jock, and he made Dreamer's life a living hell for an entire year. His storylines were always the most captivating, and I think to this day are some of the best storylines in all of wrestling. The whole Sandman storyline where he turned that man's family against him, they crucified him. The, even in WCW, the Raven Goldberg feud, the only Goldberg feud I will willingly watch over and over again.
Yep.
Because it was just so fun. Just seeing him launching people at Goldberg to get them to break, just to get him away from him. So like I said, Raven is a character who is also the base for characters like Bray Wyatt and everything. He opened the door that we did not have at one point in time.
That is such a cool pick, Drizz. Quote the Raven Nevermore, no question. He was one of my favorites growing up. One of the most underrated matches is the Destruction of the Flock. Him and Perry Saturn. That DVD driver through the table off the apron. You're kidding. That spot is electric. And then Kidman turns on him and Canyon turns on him. And it's so great. Like
it's crazy. And it's crazy because that match ran directly into another storyline where he's just at home depressed. And that's when we find out Raven's a rich kid.
Yep.
He's a rich, snotty kid.
Got like the nicest house of any of them, and he's in the big mansion in his all grunge gear. The juxtaposition there in the 90s is so brilliant. Like,
I don't want to eat caviar, Mom. What about me?
It's so good. It's so good. So good. Raven's a great call. Okay, my favorite wrestler of all time, and Savannah, it's a friend of your pick. It's HBK. I was at WrestleMania 12 as a wide-eyed 5-year-old, and I'll never forget my dad leaning down, pointing up to the rafters, and going, "Hey, buddy, there he is." And the music hits, and he comes down the zip line against Bret Hart. And that match didn't feel like an hour to 5-year-old Clark. I fell in love with wrestling in that moment. It was like, and then he wins the title. It felt so huge. It felt so amazing. And the match still holds up watching it back. It's not just that match. Then you get DX. You get it's so funny. My first ever VHS, I talked about it last week, was Most Unusual Matches. And the first match on it is a heel Shawn Michaels against a babyface Bret Hart. And at that time, I still was like, I like this Shawn guy better. I do. I was rooting for the bad guy at like 4.5 at that time. And then, like I said, DX. Then he goes away for 4 years. And if you split his career pre-back injury, pre that injury in the casket match with Undertaker, pre-WrestleMania 14, the unbelievable match with Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's a Hall of Famer then. And then if you take his career after he comes back from back surgery, and after he comes back from 4 years away, turns his life around, that's also a Hall of Fame career. The guy had 2 Hall of Fame careers and missed 4 years of his prime. It's unbelievable to me. So I give Shawn the nod as my favorite wrestler of all time, but Triple H right there alongside him. Those two
That's
Easily
right.
both in my top
That's
5.
right,
No
Dad.
question. Absolutely. But that does bring us to the end of the show. It's been a blast, as is every Sunday Fun Day. We will Sunday Night Spotlight. Although it is Fun Day on Sunday Night Spotlight, we're having fun here. But yes, every Sunday Night Spotlight is a blast. We will be back every single week, 10 p.m. UK, 5 p.m. in the East, 2 p.m. Pacific. That's 11 o'clock for my friends over in Hawaii. Absolutely. On behalf of me, Megan, Savannah, Dryzzy, everybody at WR, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see everybody soon.